Last time we met Timothy Trueheart. We also met his family, his mom and his dad and his little baby sister Tina. We also got to meet his class at Sunday school and his teacher, Mr. Randall. Mr. Randall announced that the class was going to have a contest. They were to learn the books of the New Testament in order. They were going to be quizzed on them, and the one who could say them correctly the fastest would be the one to win the prize, which was a brand new Bible with their name engraved on it in gold. Timothy was very excited about this prize. He was still using his dad's old Bible, which was kind of falling apart, and so he was thrilled at the prospect of getting a brand new Bible with his name on it. As soon as Timothy got home from church, he headed straight up to his room and opened his Bible and started to read through the list at the front. He read them through a couple of times and thought, "Boy, this is going to be a little harder than I thought." Just then his mom called, "Timothy, come on down for lunch." Timothy hurried down to the table, and as they were eating, he said, "Learning the books of the New Testament is going to be harder than I thought." Timothy's mom said, "Well, Timothy, I always find it's a little easier to memorize things if you write them down a couple of times." "Okay," said Timothy, "I can try that." Timothy's dad said, "The way I usually memorize things is to memorize the first 5 or 6 and then start saying them and adding one each time until I've got them all memorized, just like that game we sometimes play." "Oh, yeah," said Timothy, "that might be helpful. I could try that." Timothy's dad said, "After dinner, go on up and work on them for a little while, and when you think you've got it, come downstairs and I'll quiz you on them." "Okay," said Timothy. When they finished eating, he did go upstairs. He grabbed a tablet of paper and wrote down the books of the New Testament 3 times. Then he started trying what his dad suggested and started saying them. He worked on it for about an hour and then realized he had them. So he hurried downstairs. His dad was sitting on the couch relaxing, which is what he usually did on Sunday afternoons. And Timothy handed him his Bible and said, "Dad, I think I got it." His dad said, "Timothy, let's hear 'em." So Timothy went through the books of the New Testament. He had to start over a couple of times, and he missed one, but corrected himself. And his dad said, "Timothy, I think you got it. Now you just got to work on saying it a little faster and making sure you don't forget any." "Okay, Dad," Timothy said. "How long do you think that took me to say those?" He said, "Well, with the corrections and everything, about 3 minutes." "Okay," said Timothy. And he went back up to his room and studied a little more. Every day after school, after he finished his homework, of course, he worked on it for another little while. By Wednesday, he could say them all without having to stop for mistakes. And he was really getting excited that he might be able to win the contest. On Sunday morning, when he came down for breakfast, his dad said, "Well, are you all ready?" Timothy says, "I am." Timothy's dad says, "Well, let's hear 'em." And Timothy said the books of the New Testament in order and asked his dad, "How long was that?" His dad said, "That was 1 minute and 25 seconds. "That was really fast," said his mom. "I'm sure you're going to be the one to win the Bible." "I sure hope so," said Timothy. When Timothy got to class, he hurried up and got in his seat, and Mr. Randall came in and said, "All right, who's been working on the books of the New Testament?" Almost everyone raised their hands. And then Mr. Randall said, "And who thinks they're ready to try it today?" 3 kids raised their hands: Julie, Jason, and Timothy. Mr. Randall said, "Okay, Julie, come on up. Let's hear it." Julie said all the books of the New Testament in order. She was very careful and said them so that everyone could understand the words that she was saying. When she got done, Mr. Randall says, "Perfect. Julie, you can sit down." Mr. Randall took a quick look at his watch and he said, "That was 1 minute and 30 seconds. That was a really good time, Julie." The next one to get up and try was Jason. He was one of the older boys and was sure he was going to win. He started saying the books of the New Testament really fast. Timothy thought, "Boy, he's faster than me. I'm afraid he's going to win." But when he got done, Mr. Randall said, "Jason, that was pretty good, but I can't give you credit because you forgot 1st and 2nd Thessalonians." "Oh, I always forget those T ones." And Jason sat back down. "Timothy," Mr. Randall said, "did you think you could do it?" "I think so," said Timothy, and he got up in front. He said, "The books of the New Testament are Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Jude, and Revelation." Mr. Randall said, "That was perfect, Timothy. And you said them in less than a minute, so that makes you our winner." Timothy sat back down, and Mr. Randall reached into the bag he had with him and pulled out 2 boxes. They were wrapped in pretty paper, and he handed one to Julie and one to Timothy. Mr. Randall said, "Even though this contest is over, anyone who learns the books of the New Testament will still get a prize." Timothy opened the box, and inside was a very nice bookmark with the books of the Bible on it, all 66 of them. And Timothy thought, "This'll come in handy in my new Bible." Mr. Randall then told Timothy that he was going to take his new Bible to the bookshop to get his name engraved on it and would have it for him next week. When Timothy got to class the next Sunday, Mr. Randall had his new Bible on the table alongside his old Bible. Mr. Randall gave Timothy his Bible, and Timothy sat down. One of the boys said, "Mr. Randall, that Bible is in really bad shape. I think you should have got yourself a new one, too." "Oh, no," said Mr. Randall. "I have new Bibles at home, but that's my favorite Bible. It's the one I have all my notes written in the margins." One of the girls said, "Mr. Randall, you wrote in your Bible? Isn't that a sin?" "No," said Mr. Randall. "Well, I suppose if you were to write notes to your friends or your grocery list in the Bible, that wouldn't be very good use of your Bible. But I write things in the margin like, 'This verse is good if you're sad,' or 'Use this verse when you're disappointed.' There's lots of notes in my Bible for when I want to help somebody with a problem, and I can find the verses to help them really fast that way." Randall then reached into the bag he had and took out some books. Timothy put his new Bible on the floor under his chair so that he could take the book Mr. Randall was handing him. He had a children's book, some stories for kids. Said Timothy. "This is odd." He looked around, and the other kids had different books too. A math book, a history book, a cooking book, a sewing book. Weird. Mr. Randall then asked, "Tell me, if I wanted to find out a recipe for a chocolate cake, what type of book would I want?" "A cookbook like this one," said Julie. "Okay," said Mr. Randall. And if I wanted to learn about the Revolutionary War, what book would I want? The history book here, said one of the boys. All right, said Mr. Randall. And if I wanted to put my little nephew to sleep? My children's book would work, said Timothy. Excellent. Just like these are all different kinds of books that you would look in for different types of things, the books of the Bible are not all the same kind of books either. When we start in the Old Testament, the first 17 books are books of law and history. Then there's 5 books of poetry. Poetry? Said one of the girls. In the Bible? Yes, said Mr. Randall. A lot of the Psalms are considered poetry, along with some of the other books. She said. Then the next 17 books of the Old Testament are books of prophecy, mostly prophecies about Jesus coming. Now the New Testament starts out with the 4 Gospels, which are the books that tell us about Jesus' birth, life, death, resurrection. Very important information for Christians. The next book is a book of history. It's the book of Acts, and it tells about the history of the church. Then there's 21 epistles. Did you say pistols? Said one of the boys. No, said Mr. Randall. Epistles. It's a fancy word for a letter that's written to a lot of different people. They were written to the churches mostly, or to individuals that were telling us how to live as Christians, because being a Christian was a relatively new thing. The last book of the Bible is a book of prophecy that hasn't happened yet. Really? Said one of the girls. The Bible has information about what's going to happen in the future? Yes, said Mr. Randall. One of the boys said, Mr. Randall, my dad says the book of Revelation is really, really confusing. Mr. Randall then said, of course it is, because it hasn't happened yet. The Old Testament prophecies confused the Jews, too, about Jesus coming. But once he came, it was all very clear. With the book of Revelation, we really only need to know one thing. We win. Jesus comes back, and the church wins. After class, Timothy went outside to wait for his parents. When they left for church this morning, Timothy's mom said the weather was so nice that they should all just walk to church instead of taking the van. They decided that was a good idea, so they did. When Timothy's parents came out, they started to walk back home through the park. They got part way home when all of a sudden Timothy realized, Mom! Dad! I forgot my Bible under my chair in my classroom. Can we please go back, pretty please? Sure, said his dad. It's a nice day and we're not that far from the church. So they all turned around and went back. Timothy ran ahead up to the church door. He grabbed hold of it and pulled on it, and it was locked. What was he going to do? And we're going to have to wait till next time to find out whether or not he's able to get his Bible back